Okay, thank you. And let me welcome you to the 2020 UPS George Smith Prize competition. I'm Rob Dell. I had the honor of being the chair for this year's uh, uh, prize committee. And I'm going to start with congratulations to your team on behalf of all of the judges. Being selected as a finalist for this prize is an honor few programs have achieved. This prize is named in honor of the late UPS Chief Executive Officer, who was a champion of operations research. The UPS George D. Smith Prize, it was created in the spirit of strengthening ties between industry and the schools of higher education that graduate practitioners of operations research. The prize recognizes effective and innovative preparation of students to be practitioners of operations research or analytics. Let me introduce the judging team that has the difficult task of selecting a winner from our three outstanding finalists. We have Hai Chu from Disney, Jill Harding Wilson from Northwestern University, Harish Krishna from the University of British Columbia, Rena Schooner was our past chair, Andy Wasser, Carnegie Mellon University, and Henning Yu from Amazon. I have to thank our sponsor. Without UPS, this prize would not be possible, and I'm excited that UPS executives are on the call today hearing the prize presentations. And with that, I will turn it over to your team and with my thanks.
Okay, as we're just pulling up the slides, I'm going to get started. Good afternoon, everyone. I would also first like to just take this opportunity to thank a number of individuals. So firstly, thank you, Robert, and all of our judges. Thank you, Mary, Christy, and the entire Informs team. And also thank you, UPS, for sponsoring this prize and making this a possibility for us. So I'm Catherine Yudikov, and I have the privilege of working as one of our associate directors for our Master of Management Analytics program, which was our very first analytics program that we launched 7 years ago. And today we are excited to introduce to you our entire analytics ecosystem here at Smith School of Business, Queen's University. What started as one single program 7 years ago has now grown and become a world-class analytics ecosystem. And throughout the course of this presentation, we're going to have the opportunity to hear from the stakeholders who are involved. But to get us started, I'm going to pass it off to my colleague.
Thanks so much, Catherine. If we could go to the next slide, please. My name is Jennifer Campbell, and I oversee the other cohort of our Master of Management Analytics programs. In fact, I have the spring cohort, and as we speak, our class of 2020 is in the last class of their last course before graduation, and we're excited to get ready to welcome our class of 2021 next Saturday. Judges and UPS guests, welcome to Queen's University. Since our establishment in 1841 as one of the oldest universities in Canada, Queen's has maintained our reputation as one of the most prestigious schools in the country. Located in Kingston, Ontario, which if you don't know where that is, it's about a halfway point of the 5-hour drive between Toronto and Montreal. With rigorous academics, unrivaled school spirit, and a global committed alumni network, our School of Business was renamed after Canadian business leader and philanthropist Stephen J.R. Smith in 2015. We've been educating business leaders for over a century with our commerce degree, which actually celebrated its centennial in 2019. In the acknowledgement of Toronto's really important role as the business center for the country, we opened our Smith location in Toronto that educates our business programs, our master's programs, and our professional format programs, which all play a fundamental role in the ecosystem that we're going to share with you today. So to share the story, I would like to now pass it over to my colleague, Yuri Leather.
Thank you very much, Jennifer and Catherine. Let me start by giving you a little bit of a background how we got started on this, what turned out to be a very exciting journey. Let's go back to 2012. Artificial intelligence, machine learning, big data, analytics, all the things become more and more popular in the business world. October 2020, front cover of HBR, Harvard Business Review, comes out with a big message. Big data is changing the art of management. McKinsey predict a shortage of 1.5 million data savvy managers just in the United States. What did we have at that time? Well, the top 3 AI experts are Canadian, as you can see on this slide. So these numbers are just the number of citations year to date in 2020. The Canadian government made analytics and artificial intelligence one of the main priorities for the country and decided to make serious investments. As an example, in 2017, the Canadian government created the Pan-Canadian AI strategy and made an investment of $150 million towards the creation of the Vector Institute for Artificial Intelligence. Toronto started to become a major technology hub. It's now a home of hundreds, if not thousands, of startups and technology venture funds, in addition to R&D centers launched by Amazon, Google, Uber, and others. All these companies, of course, needed people. Retail, financial services, consulting, all these guys were starting to make significant investments in analytics. At the same time, here at Smith, we had a group of faculty with a very strong record in applied operations research. Areas like transportation, revenue management and dynamic pricing, optimization, and supply chain management. We felt that we were in a great position to get into this game, helping to address the shortage of translators, integrators, and people who could lead different analytics activities in industry. So we put together a short proposal for the Master of Management Analytics program. The slogan for this proposal was, let's get these data folks out of the basement and up at the management table where they can help organizations make better business decisions. So from day one, we've had a tremendous support from the administration of the school.
Hello, everyone. My name is Elspeth Murray, and I'm the Associate Dean for the MBA and Masters of Management programs here at the Smith School of Business at Queen's University. I'm a professor of strategy and new ventures and have the great fortune of teaching on a number of our analytics-based programs. I thought I'd talk a little bit about the history of the analytics ecosystem at Smith and how it came into being, and really where we are today and how critical it is to the overall strategy of the Smith School of Business at Queen's. It's always interesting to me as a strategy professor how things get created, and it's a very simple story here at Smith. An incredible group of faculty who had been teaching and researching in the area of analytics for a number of years, Jeff McGill, Yuri Levin, Anton Ovchinnikov, and Mikhail Nediak, had been doing a lot of work on the airline industry and demand forecasting and things like that, and very plugged into the world of not only research, but what was happening in industry, and saw a sudden shift about to occur, and used this insight to actually make a pitch to the school to start to work at putting a plan together to create the ecosystem that we now have at Smith. So there were a number of forces that kind of converged all at the same time as these academics sought to sort of understand how the world was shifting. You had massive advances in computing technology and connectivity and data storage and computing power, you name it, which really enabled a whole different level of analytics use and practical application. You had a real shift occurring in industry, both in old and new companies. So the Amazons of the world, Airbnbs that really started to adopt an ecosystem approach, where they didn't actually own the assets, but they used the connectivity and some of the analytics to create these juggernaut businesses. And you also saw old enterprises like the GEs of the world, particularly in their aircraft division, actually moving quite quickly as well. At the same time as well, business started to recognize that there was a fundamental shift happening, doesn't matter what your industry was, towards the ability to use all of the technology and the analytics capability to truly focus on customers. So customer centricity, not talking so much about segmentation per se, but actually in real time managing demand on the fly. And companies also saw the need to reskill really quickly. So as the technology shifted, they realized that they needed a whole new set of experts inside companies. So data scientists, people who could translate from the technology into the business, so on and so forth. And I think the last factor that really played into the creation of our ecosystem was a big push from government here in Canada to create clusters of expertise in the AI space. And so in our Smith Toronto facility, great connection with the Vector Institute, which was one of these 3 centers created. So an amazing opportunity to connect fundamental research to the creation of new skills and capabilities. And I guess the last piece that I would add is part of our ecosystem strategy has been to create partnerships with a whole variety of entities, whether they be the Vector Institute, the Scotiabank Center for Customer Analytics, you name it, ecosystems within the university, very horizontal cooperation across many different disciplines, so people analytics, marketing analytics, you name it. So all of this to say, we have built over the years a number of key elements of our ecosystem in addition to these partnerships. We have 3 programs, the Masters of Management Analytics, the Masters of Management in Artificial Intelligence, and our newest program in this space, the Global Masters of Management in Analytics. The programs are core to our ability to help industry. Our partnerships with Vector and Scotiabank are critical to understanding the evolving needs of industry and applying our research capabilities with our master's students and our PhD students to constantly solve problems as they arise and have that very important connectivity across industry, academia, always with an incredible focus on being customer-centric in everything that we do. Hello, everyone. My name is Elspeth Murray, and I'm the Associate Dean for the MBA.
Okay, sorry. So again, as I mentioned earlier, our journey in building the ecosystem started with the launch of the MMA program. MMA is not mixed martial arts anymore. The name has been later adopted by several other schools like Rotman in University of Toronto and McGill for their analytics programs. We had requests from business schools in the US, Argentina, Germany, and Taiwan about working with us on launching similar Master of Management Analytics or MMA programs. You will hear more about the MMA program in a few minutes. This is how our ecosystem looks now. So you can think about it as a sandwich. We have a number of degree programs, professional master, research master, and PhD on one side, executive education on the other side, and a growing number of research centers in the middle. All these elements of the ecosystem are not independent. They nicely complement each other. So let's start with degree programs.
In the 1990s and early 2000s, analytics, management science, and big data really started to take off in industry. And around 2013, in talking with our industry contacts and partners, we realized that there was still a major skill gap in organizations when it came to analytics. In particular, there was a missing link between the people doing the technical analyses and the business leaders making the business decisions. These two groups of people, the techies and the managers, if you will, they had a hard time communicating with each other. So we designed a program to fill exactly that need. We called the program the Master of Management Analytics, or MMA for short. In this program, we included technical courses such as math and statistics. We also included business courses such as general management, supply chain and logistics. And we also included courses on what we called power skills, things like effective communication, effective presentations, professionalism, and how to deal with people from different cultural backgrounds. In the background, our flagship master program, the MMA, kept growing and growing. It went from 50 students to 75 students to 120 students to 180 students, and now we're enrolling about 220 high-quality students per year in the program. At a board meeting in 2017, our board decided that we needed another master's program to focus on the management of the new up-and-coming technology, artificial intelligence. So less than a year later, in 2018, we launched our first class of the MMAI program with 65 students. The next year, demand grew, and we launched a second section. And in 2020, we're on track to do the same. We decided to launch a third program called the Global MMA, which was very similar to the MMA, but it included a blended learning format. So in this format, students would take half of their courses in an asynchronous online format, and the other half would be in a live residential session at some interesting place around the globe, such as Mannheim, Hong Kong, San Francisco, or New York. And in the middle of all this, we also launched 2 research-based programs, an MSc and PhD in analytics at Smith. And this was to serve students who wanted a more research-based program and who were interested in going into academia or interested in running an industry research lab. So now, fast forward 7 years after our first class of the MMA program, and we have a whole ecosystem that is second to none in the world. We have 3 professional master's programs, 2 research-based programs, dozens of executive education programs. We have 8 research labs. We have partnerships with schools around the globe. We have student clubs. We have a International Innovation Challenge. And of course, we have amazing faculty and PhD students doing cutting-edge research.
We're extremely proud of our graduates who continue to actively participate and contribute to the ecosystem long after graduation.
I found MMA to be the perfect alternative for me, and how we worked not only on academic theories and assignments to increase our core skills. We also worked on industry projects with real data from partners that Smith brought to the discussions. And all of those were very, very good foundational skills to solve real-world problems with those academic knowledge. Both academic knowledge, industry problems were obviously key, but in addition, the technical tools that we all used, whether it's working with Python or R, or working on cloud environments like Azure and so on. I joined MMA as a senior managing consultant, and very quickly I became an associate partner and a partner, and I have the fortunate privilege right now to lead IBM Canada's data and AI service line consulting business. As an employer, what we are finding is that all the graduates that are coming out of Smith are a wonderful candidate for our consulting organization, particularly for the translators, for problem to analytic approach and solving those problems, as well as the technical data scientists, engineers. All of those candidate pools are excellent candidate pools for us to hire, and we continue to support Smith's graduates with our recruiting programs.
We take diversity and inclusion very seriously in the analytics ecosystem. We have faculty and students from many different countries, and we're in the process of approaching our goal of 50% female participants in most of the programs. Next, I would like to ask Jennifer McNaughton, one of our current MMA students, to share her experiences in the program. Jen, to you.
Thanks, Yuri. My name is Jen. I work as a senior account manager at a company called Newcomp Analytics based in Toronto. So my current role is to help clients solve their business problems using analytics. So I can really apply what I'm learning in school to work every day, which is great. I'm actually in the last day of my last course today, so very, very close to finishing, but I'm happy to be here today to talk about my experience and reflect on the past year. So I'll talk about three main areas: the format, the courses, and the extracurriculars. So I initially was interested in the program because it offers me the flexibility to work full-time and be a full-time student in Toronto. And the class itself has about half from technical background and half with a business background. So that was attractive to me as well. So you get placed into teams, which mimics an organization or how high-performance teams should work. And for me, this was definitely the most valuable experience of the whole program. You each get a chance to work in different functions within a team, and you lead multiple projects, you deal with conflict, work through uncertainty. So that's just what real life is like. So you got to practice that a lot in the program. And I also had the opportunity to work with technical folks, people who are 20 years into their career, and people with all different backgrounds from every industry. In terms of courses, the first time I opened R or Python was in class. So you really do ramp up quickly, but they do a great job of building on core concepts that you learn in a course like predictive analytics, for example, and then you apply it into different business functions like marketing or finance courses, for example. And sometimes you even use the same data sets between courses. And like Yuri mentioned, we have the opportunity to work on real business issues. Since Queen's really is leading the charge for analytics in Canada and creating that ecosystem, we're able to work with large companies like Coca-Cola, for example, in our strategy course that we're finishing today, and seeing data, for example, in our machine learning course. And lastly, extracurriculars. There's lots of workshops and networking events throughout the year. And as class president, I wanted to give students an opportunity to get in front of the largest bank in Canada. So I reached out to the Director of Innovation at RBC, who is a Queen's MBA alumni, and together we created the first Queen's and RBC case competition, which ended up being a big success, and we'll definitely host that again in the community next year. So just to wrap up, overall, I would say that for me, the technical skills are incredibly valuable, but the program ultimately changes the way you operate in terms of communication and leadership and the way you frame and solve complex problems. And those skills become so ingrained in you that those are the skills that you're really going to take away from this program, and they're important in selling any story with data. So you do become that bridge between the technical and the business people, that translator role, and I think those will be our future leaders thanks to this program. Now I'll pass it back to Yuri.
Thanks, Jen. So as Jen just pointed out, in this ecosystem, we put as much emphasis on the communication, on the translation skills, as on the other two pillars, the business side and the technical side of analytics. Now, as I mentioned earlier, all the activities in the ecosystem strongly complement each other. This is how this approach helps to, I would not be afraid to say, redefine executive education at Smith.
Hello, my name is Anton Ovchinnikov. I'm a professor at Smith. I will walk you through an example for how multiple pieces of our ecosystem fit together. I will also use this example to illustrate how we utilize our system to redefine executive education. Executive education for most firms is a cost center. So imagine a manager, let me call her Elizabeth. She attends a short course, say in leadership, where she's having a great time. But this course cost her firm several $1,000s, and the big question is whether she actually became a better leader, and then how to attribute any measurable business results to her taking this course. At Smith, we take these questions very, very seriously. Our analytics executive programs include multiple courses, and at the end, there are projects. Such programs are, of course, more expensive, but they also generate measurable business value. Let's go back to Elizabeth. With some 50 of her colleagues, she attends an analytics executive program sponsored by her firm. She takes several courses and at the end presents a group project. Smith faculty teach these courses, help brainstorm the project, and then attend their presentations. That's where the key thing happens. Based on the project presentations and the executive sponsors' feedback, one of the two projects will be selected for applied research follow-up and implementation. The project team will include Elizabeth, some of her colleagues, one or more of Smith faculty, one or two of our doctoral students and/or postdocs, and several MMA or MMAI students. And the result will be bigger than the parts. Elizabeth and her team get a functioning business solution that brings measurable business results, as well as they will have their talent upskilled. Faculty and doctoral students get material for academic papers or cases, MMAI students get the capstones done, and MMA students get valuable practical experience. By now, we have implemented a dozen of such projects in multiple industries. All of them involved multiple parts of our ecosystem: professional degree programs such as MMA or MMAI, research programs such as MSc or PhD, non-degree programs such as executive education, faculty and postdoc research, both at Smith and at our academic partners, such as different departments within the university or the Vector Institute, for example. To wrap up this story, let's go back to Elizabeth and her firm. They invested significantly more in her program and the resultant applied research, but these investments paid many times over. And our ecosystem approach facilitates all the steps in this process, from the ideation and ignition, as it upskilled Elizabeth to come up with the excellent idea, to evaluation and selection, as it allowed a team of experts to evaluate and select most promising projects, to the execution, as it allowed to commit highly skilled talent to her project. By the way, we are now writing a research paper based on it. I hope to be able to tell you more about it soon, so please stay tuned.
Let's move to what's in the middle of the sandwich, applied research. So the first research center that was created as part of the ecosystem is the Scotiabank Center for Customer Analytics that was launched with a generous donation of $2.2 million from Scotiabank, a major corporate partner in the ecosystem. The contribution was matched with an almost $1 million contribution from the federal government. The center is currently working on 14 applied research projects. Scotiabank employees, Smith faculty, postdocs, and PhD MSc students are involved in this project. Last year, the center received an early renewal for another 5 years from the bank with an additional $2.2 million funding. Another great initiative that I would like to share with you is our joint work with IEEE on the trusted or ethical data in AI. We're working on the creation of industry playbooks for the trusted or ethical use of data in AI. The first one published will be the playbook for the financial services. We recently launched a joint corporate certificate program in this space. Our ecosystem became the hub for the discussion on the code of conduct for the ethical use of data in AI in Canada, with all major banks and academic institutions involved. This work is starting to get some international recognition. The well-known FEAT principles in the use of AI analytics in Singapore's financial sector cite our work. One of the main drivers for our ecosystem that helps us to evolve so quickly is the advisory board that consists of over 40 leaders across industries. Mark Schaefer from Disney is the current chair of the board. The board is actively involved in all aspects of the ecosystem.
Hello, my name is Lori Bita. I'm the Chief Data and Analytics Officer for BMO Bank of Montreal for our Canadian Retail Bank. And I'm also a proud member of the Smith Analytics and AI Advisory Board, and I have been for over 5 years. And my role as an advisory board member is to help represent the industry and make informed decisions around the type of skills that are essential for success for analytical professionals within this market, and work with the professionals over at the Queen's School to be able to shape the curriculum in such a way that our graduates have the right skills when they graduate to be successful in this competitive marketplace. To be successful in analytics in this day and age, you really need a body of technical skills, you need great business acumen, and you need soft skills to be able to translate what you know into things that matter for professionals. And the analytics school at Smith has all of that, and it packages it up in a way that makes students extremely, extremely effective when they come out of the program. I've had the personal experience of hiring graduates. I've sent people who are within my organization to that school, and they're exceptionally well developed when they come out of that program. And for the reason that the program is very robust, and it graduates with the right skills for these people to be successful in being able to activate the power of analytics when they come out. One of the things that I've noticed that's very unique about the program, and certainly the individuals who've graduated from it and are now part of my own leadership team, is there's an element of storytelling through data and the skills that are taught within the program that are exceptional. And there's certainly soft skills and the ability to work with teams to extract value out of data. And I have the experience where there's individuals who have graduated from the program, and they are now at very senior levels within our own organization and doing incredibly well in analytics at BMO. And it's for that reason. They're technically extremely competent, but they definitely have this body of skill sets that allows them to make hay with data and help us monetize the insights that are embedded in information, which is amazing. I think the best of both worlds comes when you combine industry expertise in a field that's ever evolving and rapidly evolving like analytics with the ability to be able to adopt that into curriculum on an ongoing basis. And what's great about the Smith Analytics and AI School is that we work hand in hand. Industry works hand in hand with the academic professionals to sculpt a curriculum that is highly relevant based on what it is that's going on today and what's ever changing. And then we adapt that. The professors adapt that. They teach in a different way. We bring industry into the fold. And we're constantly pushing to be able to create net new learning so that the students come out of these programs understanding what it takes to succeed today. And that's what you need in a field that is so wildly important within our industry and changing. You want students that are at the cutting edge and they're learning those skills hand in hand with industry and academia.
Our industry partners share their problems and data sets. We have a capstone project in several programs. Most of the courses have industry projects with presentations, often judged by industry people who share their feedback with the students. The students find a great value in working on real problems with real data, translating data into managerial insights, and communicating them in a non-technical way. This is precisely what we expect from a management science integrator. This is how our advisory board chair, Mark Schaefer, likes to call our graduates.
One of the most interesting things, I think, during my experience at MMAI was when we had the actual customer come in and not only give us the data to deal with and to understand, whether it be looking at customer churn or making some interesting predictive insights, they were actually giving us the data, and then we were also there to really look at the results of those data. Scene, we were able to do some real interesting things with them. We were looking at Scene for their loyalty program, looking at customer attrition. Another one was the NFL. That one was really interesting because we had, the COO come up to the Smith School of Business in Toronto with her team, her analytics team, and they supported us through the project as well too. And that was really, really engaging for the students, for our group. Certainly, I was able to hire 4 students from my program into the company right after. And they're doing all sorts of really, really interesting things, everything from looking at churn prediction and modeling for customers through to things like motivated intruder attacks, right? So as a result of doing a lot of artificial intelligence work and data analytics, any product that we put out there, we have to make sure that privacy is upheld as well too.
Yeah, we have a lot of students hiring other students because one of the main focus for us at Smith is to help to build the analytics network in Canada. Let's look at a few other exciting activities that we just launched as part of the ecosystem that is starting to spread to some less traditional industries. We recently launched the Conflict Analytics Lab jointly with the Faculty of Law here at Queen's.
What is the Conflict Analytics Lab? It's a research hub focusing on data analytics and conflict resolution, bringing together leading researchers from great universities and organizations such as Google AI, Queen's, Cornell, NYU. And what do we do? So we are interested in using data analytics technology to help organizations to optimize dispute resolution and help what we call self-represented litigants, so the people who don't have access to legal services and justice. We've also been working with the European Trademark Court in Europe to build an online dispute resolution system that would help their users, so mainly small and medium-sized enterprises, to understand whether another company out there already has their trademark. And so the idea is that it would help to avoid useless litigation. And finally, we're working with Smith and our other collaborators with several organizations to help them to resolve conflicts. So by conflict, we're mainly referring to large organizations, private, public, that receive a lot of customer complaints, and like the airline industry, like the hospitality industry, and we're looking at how data analytics can help them to streamline and resolve these disputes more efficiently.
I could have talked about many more really interesting aspects and war stories related to our ecosystem, but we're running out of time. So here we are. These are the main points that we wanted to share with you, so enjoy the video. As I mentioned earlier, our system constantly evolves, trying to address the fast-changing needs of industry, students, and the analytics or community as a whole. A few activities we currently have underway. So we're preparing the launch of the People's Analytics Lab with Disney and CIBC, one of the major Canadian banks. We're also working on the launch of the Legal Analytics Lab jointly with BLG, one of the largest Canadian law firms. So this is it. Thank you very much. We would be more than happy to answer any questions.